Well, we have a new tier 10.5 siege hole, and we're going to get into a build for it. Hey everyone, Derpy here, and welcome back to another Battle Pirates video. Just quickly jumping into the stat blocks, before we do that, I want to say my general plan for this hole is to build 3 normal ships and the flagship all really well upgraded before the first raid, and build the 5th ship between the first and second raid like I've done the past few times. So if you see a few X1 holes, just realize that I'm not going to have the 5th one built at all. It allows me to spend all my time focusing on upgrades and get all the building and equipping done with tokens. It's a really interesting strategy and has worked out quite well. Now, this is a tier 10.5 hole. It's nothing too different from things that we've seen before. The upgrades are pretty disinteresting. The first few levels, U1 gives you a bit more pierce range and unlocks this heavy weapon slot, which it doesn't say. I'm hoping that gets fixed. U2 gives you 10% evade, which to me feels like an extremely minor benefit. U3 is amazing. It's hard to actually read things here, but you have ballistic survival, radioactive survival, increased ballistic and building damage. Just realize these add on to the pre-existing stats. They don't work like specials and multiply off them. So this 650 ballistic damage just gets changed to 750. It doesn't double. And of course, this building damage number is going to change a little bit based on the level of your conquest yard, interestingly enough. You do start out with some evade on the whole. It's probably only 30%. I'll bet you that's counting the one from the retrofit lab. Now, combat speed, nothing too special. Sonar range, it exists. Maybe we're fighting subs. Maybe we have backproofing for the mines and SSRBs, whatever. Now, these special abilities are nothing too interesting. It has an aura that buffs all ships, plus I assume the flagship and the fleet, and also is going to have a built-in weapon. This is a cannon, and being that it has a range of 50, I expect that it can be boosted by ballistic damage specials and cannon specials, although we'll have to see if the splash can be boosted or not. That might mean a few small changes. Alright, now that we know the stats, let's jump into the build quickly. The weapons are really easy. You're going to use the one that came with the whole, the Maximus Cannon. If you don't have that, there is the one that is available in the raid. It will be available in the TLC. I haven't actually equipped it yet or owned it yet. That's the Aquila Cannon. Interesting name, similar to the Orm Aquila rockets from the Praetorians. Just throw on 6 of these. No countermeasures are even possible to equip. No idea if they even work or not, because we haven't seen the VXP targets, and the only thing I'm still not certain on is special slot number 6. Now, the weapon that you're going to use for the heavy weapon slot available at U1, it's going to help out a small amount, not a ton, but it will help some. Has a 4-second reload, 7,000 or 8,000 damage, and gives you some evade. So it's a little nice benefit here, but it's not great. And if you can't get it, don't worry about it. This thing should be available in Forsaken Mission for probably 140,000 to 200,000 points coming up in the next Forsaken Mission cycle. Get however many of them you need, but it is already in the game today. Now, for these special slots, we're going to do those after we do the armors. The armors are really simple. That is just 1 radioactive, 1 ballistic. That's the best we know right now. It could end up being that the majority of the damage is ballistic. It could end up being that it's radioactive. Really not sure. And I'm going to imagine most people will split the armors. Now, jumping into the special slots, we're going to recenter here so you can see things a little bit better. And the first one is an engine. Make sure you use engines across the fleet that have the same combat speed. The best one is the one available in Pillage. You don't need to get more in the raid if you got it in Pillage. This is the Ares War Engine. 120% bonus combat speed. The second best option here would probably be the tier 10 siege engine, which looks like, or tier 9.5, whichever one we actually have, which is going to give you 100% combat speed rather than 120. Make sure you're not mixing combat speeds and have the same speed. Speed system 5.6, whatever we have, is the secondary backup to this one. The next special is a reload special. The best one we have is a limited Dromos belt feed magazine. This is not a fantastic improvement over the other ballistic special we have, and that is a reload special, again, if I can actually learn to spell. And this is the regular one, fast feed magazine. You can use this one instead. 120% reload instead of whatever it was, 140. It won't make a big difference. If you have the points, this one is clearly better, but it's not a lot better. Next up is one of the specials that came with the hull again. This is essentially a high velocity rounds 2.0. If you don't have high velocity, or if you don't have this one, Ferox rounds, use high velocity rounds. I'm sad to see that this is limited to Siege, so we can't equip it onto other hull classes in the future, although it's probably a good thing to avoid power creep. So Ferox rounds is definitely the way to go. If you don't have it, use HVR. Next up is another limited special. This is one that's been out for a little while. I can't remember if it came out with the Gladius or whatnot. This is Ballistic Battery 2. If you don't have Ballistic Battery 2, don't use Radioactive Battery. Use Ballistic Battery 1 because that has a few other benefits there. This is going to be a nice special here. If you, at this point, if you have to scrap your Gladiuses to equip this, I might. Or if you have to get it in Raid, FM Pillage, wherever it is, I would go and try to pick that special up. If you want an unlimited special that's better and you're really low on points, use just regular Siege Battery over in the Blueprint tab, Siege Battery 4. That should be okay, although you might run into a few weight issues, so just keep that in mind. Now, special slot number 5 is going to be a Ballistic Critical special, which is interesting to say the least. So again, let's try and learn how to type here. So this is actually special slot number 6 I'm going to put this in because it's the one I'm not quite sure about. So let's go ahead and load up special slot number 6 and pull up that one again. And and again, you can see typing here, pretty difficult. You have two options here. The welded barrel system is pretty old at this point, tier 8. So I think I'm going to go ahead and use this one, although I'm not 100% convinced. It does have combat speed bonus, so you have to use the same one across your entire fleet. If you can't mix and have one ship high evade, one ship with this, so just be careful about that. Now, I almost considered going for something else in this spot, such as the Damage Diffusion System 2, which you can't equip because it conflicts with projectile speed. I thought about using Hyper 30, which you can equip, or even Agility System 4. Again, I don't know how much evade will matter in these targets. It seems like you have a decent amount already through your U1 and your U1 heavy weapon and your U2 upgrades and a few other things. So you are going to be at 50% evade anyway, 56% evade. So maybe you don't need Agility System 4, but if we see the XP Weekend and the entire target is only ballistic accuracy-based turrets or radioactive launcher-based turrets, we might need that one instead. This does have a few other benefits in terms of synergy with the other critical chances that we have on here already, so that works pretty nicely. Projectile speed is nice because it means you kill things sooner, so you might not be able to get hit by the second or third salvo from something, which is interesting. Now, the last special here, special slot 5, is probably the most important one because it is ballistic range. I can't believe I almost forgot that, but ballistic range is really, really important to have on your ships in general. The best one for you is going to be mass moment stabilizers. 50% range also gives you ballistic damage, which is great, and some combat speed too. So your ship's going to be pretty fast. The second best special for this is Nuclear Accelerators 3, tier 8. So it's more likely you have this one if you don't have mass moment stabilizers. But this is the build that I'm looking towards going for right now. Probably just 4 ships like this, including the flagship. You cannot put on any countermeasures, don't even try to. The slots don't allow you to, which is a little bit disappointing. You might need a little bit more evade than I've got right now, so maybe you want to run Hyper 30 instead of this, like I said. But other than that, these first 5 specials I'm really, really set on, and I wouldn't bother changing those. Pretty simple, pretty quick build here. If you have questions, by all means let me know and I'll do my best to get back to you and answer them. With that said, I'm going to go ahead and say thank you to everyone whose name appears on screen now. And as always, this is Derpy signing out, helping you be a better pirate.